the most drama ever on paternity court.
Potential father number 4 would have to be Javion's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't know his name.
No, Your Honor.
When was you gonna let me know? 15 years later? Hey man, 18, 20 years later? What if this your child, bruh?
Is that this relationship was doomed from the start.
Thank you.
Head over heels in love with a woman twice his age and backstabbed by his own best friend, this Atlanta man wants to know if he is the father of the defendant's 2-year-old daughter. The plaintiff started his betrayal story like this.
Like the life of the party, but her mind is what captured my heart. But after finding out all the stuff that she did, I look at her like a dirty dish rag trying to wash clean dishes.
I know he didn't go there.
But the self-proclaimed cougar had no shame about her game. She admitted that she cheated, however. Miss Woods never imagined that she would end up getting pregnant at the age of 43. Still, she was an amendment that the plaintiff is the father.
I'm blaming it on the alcohol.
You're not the first in this courtroom.
Y'all don't understand that, but thing of it is, we had a little too much to drink. I'm a mother of 11 kids before I had Trinity, okay?
Even the judge could see how hard all of this was for the alleged father. Mr. Baker told the court how excited he was about having the baby. The guy was there for every little bit because he had no idea about the defendants cheating on him.
She had a conversation with Jimmy, and that Jimmy admitted to her that she slept with Janine.
Mr. Dudley.
Yeah, not only that, she seen her in the club. This is stuff I didn't know. She all in the club, remember, she life of the party, dancing all. She even left the club with a dude.
Their own love started from a one-night stand, and then it bloomed into something permanent, adding a kid to the mix and making it a lifetime commitment. Or at least that's what Mr. Baker was thinking.
And the relationship?
It was going good.
Okay.
Like I told you, when she told me she was pregnant, I was excited.
This man did not show up in a hospital.
Of course not.
He's not on a birth certificate, okay?
So he wasn't on the birth certificate. This brought up the concussion part. So the calendar showed that she slept with men in the same proximity. That's why the judge called Mr. Dudley in. But when he got to hell, got loose.
Yeah, bro, you
How was you looking out for
you
me?
got a little slit bucket. This is a
Come on,
slit
bro.
bucket right here, bro.
If that's the case, if you was looking out for me, why you didn't tell me? How come I had to find out from somebody else? Why you didn't tell me? Why you didn't come to me like a real man and tell me?
Well, Jimmy claimed that he was actually trying to look out for him and to expose the toxic nature of Miss Woods. Nonetheless, Mommy here refused to be painted as the villain in the story.
You just staying to see me.
So hold on.
You got 11
You want to
children.
break us up.
You
What my
got
kids
11
got to do with it? My
kids,
kids
man.
grown on their own. I only
That
have
man
5
ain't got
at
no
home.
kids. Why you trying to tie that
My
man
kids
down
are
like
grown on
that?
their own, doing better
Why
than
you
you,
trying to
son.
tie that man down
Doing
like
better
that?
than you, son.
All right,
What you
let's
talking
get some
about?
order.
Yeah, order in the court, please. The judge made it clear that there was no bigger person in this mess. It's just grown-ups making wrong decisions and little children paying for them. While the baby mama testified, she was sure that the plaintiff was the only potential father. Let's see if she is telling the truth.
Mr. Dudley, you are not her father. Her father.
Life lessons, another one.
I'm sorry.
Live and you learn. I wish you the best.
Miss Santos was in a big mess as her secret baby daddy passed away. Plus, the family of the deceased father refused to accept the baby. Why were they doing so? Because for Grandma, the child was a betrayal of trust. And we know when such sentiments are involved, there is good drama coming.
A secret because me and Raymond grew up together from Pampers.
Like cousins.
Like cousins. That's why it was such a secret. We don't have blood in our system. We don't have the same blood running through our systems.
No, you don't have the
But
same
we
blood.
did grew up together. That's why it was such a secret.
Baby mama and Mr. Colon were like cousins, and clearly they crossed a line mingling like that. But in the plaintiff's defense, they weren't actually related, moreover. It was the alleged father who pushed Miss Santos's feelings, which distressed the defendant was not ready to buy at all.
You would consider him family if you were out
Yes.
on the street, and that's why, Ms. Cologne, this was
That's
difficult.
very disrespectful. You know, if he wanted to be with you, you should have told him, no, we're family.
No. No, he was so persistent on trying to be with me.
Yeah, I know it sounds pretty simple, right? Grew up together and fell in love. Well, it wasn't as Miss Santos was cheating on her boyfriend with her boyfriend and initially acted like Giu was his.
But you were in a relationship with somebody else.
Yes, I was.
Sexually active with that person as
Yes.
well as Mr. Cologne.
Well, yes.
And this was around the time of conception.
Yes.
If she believed others and was the father, then what changed her mind? Well, it turns out that her ex-boyfriend wanted nothing to do with Julius. This left both Mommy and Baby on the street, after which Mr. Colon came to their rescue. Nonetheless, Mama Colon mentioned a crucial part Miss Santos missed.
Before the baby daddy, before the guy that fathered the child, apparently.
Okay, her boyfriend at
her
the
boyfriend
time.
at the time. Then she was alone for a little while. She hooked up with another man. Raymond is not the father of this baby, I'm sorry.
Riemann, being the baby daddy, was a no-go zone for Mary Lou because Jeju looked nothing like the rest of the colon. Further, the grandma was adamant that if her son was a father to any child in the world, he would have never hidden from his mother.
I see if they help me pay a DNA test if I could be positive that it is my son. For when they took their trip to Florida last year, he could have gone to City Hall and signed his name on the birth certificate. If Raymond thought that it was his son, that it was definitely his son, he would have talked to us and told us.
However, it was revealed that the perfect son moved out of his home from Miss Collins on Mother's Day. Later, she found out that Riemann moved to be with the plaintiff. Well, that is a pretty clear sign of them being more than just friends.
He put a roof over her head. Apparently, they were just roommates in the beginning, and then the relationship started. When I was told that they were living together, no. They're cousins, they cannot live together.
So nobody except mommy and daddy knew about the affair, right? Well, that's the twist, as the auntie of Julius testified that her brother told her about his son, and that her mother was in denial, because in her eyes, her son wouldn't do anything like that.
You know what side your bread is buttered on, right?
Exactly. That's my mom. That's his baby, you know what I'm saying? And
There was a lot of
he took
confidence
care of
between
him.
them.
Juju, still to this day, he asks for Poppy. And who's Poppy? My brother.
Still, none of this was convincing enough for the defendant because in Miss Collins' eyes, her baby angel could do no wrong, and she blamed Miss Santos for brewing all the drama for the money.
I need proof, real proof. If he is, then we will help the child. And if it's not, so please leave us alone. The baby is not Raymond's. Leave us alone. That's all I want. You know, clean your hands with us and forget about us.
Confusion and negation are running too much in this case, though the judge felt bad for both sides. Still, it was clear all of this quarreling was the result of the potential father hiding the truth and baby mama not going for a DNA test before. But it wasn't too late. Let's get to that envelope.
That Mr. Raymond Cologne is not father.
I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
I'm just grateful that my son was raised with a great man.
Little Jordan lost her chance at paternity when her potential father kicked her mother out of his house out of nowhere. So mommy is in the court to set the record right, because she knows that Gibbs is the after, and he can't back out baby girl so easily.
You're in a relationship. He's the one for me.
That's how I felt.
Then he goes to a spiritual convention.
Yes.
And comes home and tells you get out.
Yes.
It's the middle of the night.
Yes, it was like,
So the gentleman here was pulling these antics on his girlfriend. Sounds odd, right? Well, the defendant had a valid reason for it. Turns out that Miss Phillips had chosen another guy over him at the party. That's why the moment he got back, the intolerant man got rid of her.
Let me stop at that event because I need to understand from Miss Phillips now, why is it if you came to the party with him and you guys were together when there was an altercation, why didn't you leave with him?
the only reason why I didn't leave with him because the dude was still hot. I've been around that family for years.
Okay, don't fall for this anticipation so fast, because Miss Phillips only stayed to defuse the situation. In her words, she had been on the same course for years and thought it would be the best move to cool things down.
So out of protection for him, you were just trying to diffuse it.
Exactly.
And say, I'm just gonna stay.
Exactly.
After that, it follows up. I go to Miami with a friend of mine. 2 days later, I get a call from a mutual friend that says she was involved in an event.
Next came the promiscuous part. Mr. Gibbs told the court how one of his acquaintances told him about sleeping with the plaintiff, and even she confessed. But baby mama testified that she was no swindler.
Mr. Gibbs, you say that Miss Phillips admitted to cheating.
Yes,
yeah,
I did.
she told me that, but when I first got back, she told me that she didn't. Nothing happened. I was with my brothers. That story stayed for about a month and a half until finally she broke out and said, yeah, I did cheat, but it wasn't with who.
After that trust was drained out of their relationship, none of them had respect for each other, especially the alleged father. He had stopped down to calling his woman names and rubbing infidelity in his face.
What I'm gathering
Honest
is
to God,
that
too.
this relationship was messy.
Yes, ma'am.
Despite this messiness, you end up pregnant.
Yes. The question up is it mine? And I'm like, okay.
But things did not go better from there because Mr. Gibbs told the mama at the podium made things worse by vanishing. When the judge asked Miss Phillips's reason for it, she disclosed the mistreatment she had to go through. But this wasn't an excuse for the potential day.
From Mr. Gibbs' perspective, why there's doubt?
Who gets pregnant by a man that you claim is that you pregnant by? You go and take off 800 miles away. You go to Tampa. You down there. You done left me up here high and dry.
The defendant was left out of the pregnancy experience. Based on these actions, Mr. Gibbs was washing his hands off of the pregnancy, and even his sister backed up his assumptions. In her mind, no one should move away from the father for the sake of the child.
So I'm like, well, how can you do all that and you don't even have a paternity test because they both were seeing other people? She was seeing other people and he was seeing other people, and he told me around the time that the baby was conceived or when she found out she was pregnant, it didn't add up.
The judge was right. All of this is just so messy. Both were doing things just to hurt each other, and their retaliation was keeping the poor child from having both parents in his life. Time to get that result and settle this down.
Mr. Gibbs, this court has determined you are her father.
That's it.
How do you feel?
I'm completely fine with that. It never was a point where I felt like I didn't want it.
Miss Davis knows that too much lovemaking with random guys has landed her in paternity court, but for the sake of her son Javian, she is ready to go down this ride. So with 4 potential fathers on the list, Davis v. Smith started like this.
And Mr. Smith, you argue that Ms. Davis actually told you you were not her son's father. And you say you just had a brief sexual relationship and you don't want to take care of a child that isn't yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
The mother also grew up without a father. All of her childhood went in jumping from one foster home to another, and the pain of being unwanted was clear on her face. Even the judge knew how desperate this mother was.
My son's only 2. I mean, it's not his fault that I decided to make, well, practically a hoe of myself when I was of that age. And it just means everything to me for my son to know who his father is.
But things were not this simple, as the mommy herself had told the defendant that he was not the father, and we all know how that spell works. Now he was sure that he wasn't the father. This brought us to the conception calendar, which had an accurate, explicit timeline.
To see you, and you all basically spend a solid week being intimate. Were you using protection?
No, Your Honor.
It was a holiday fling.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when she went home, did you try to stay in touch with her?
No.
Apart from the ex-boyfriend, all of this was from the chat line. The baby mama got in touch with them and chatted a bit, and then you know what happened. The shocker was that Miss Davis didn't even remember the name of the 4th potential father.
2 days later, potential father number 4. Who is that?
Potential father number 4, Your Honor. He was a one-night stand. I don't remember his name.
You don't even remember his name. Do you know where he is?
No, Your Honor.
Next, it was revealed that after getting a hardcore denial from the ex-boyfriend, the plaintiff started her daddy hunt, which showed the first 2 contenders were not the father. That left the defendant and the no-name guy in the potential father's run.
So you basically, at this point, after it wasn't your ex-boyfriend, now you have to do a process of elimination. Mr. Smith and potential father number 4. You don't know where he is.
I don't even know his name, Your Honor.
The irony was that even though Miss Davis believed Mr. Smith was the baby daddy, still wasn't her best pick, cause the guy was a mama boy. Well, you should have considered that before messing with her. Nonetheless, the guy needed to step up.
You slept with her for a week or more, right during the window of conception. So you have to acknowledge that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you met Javian?
Yes, I only met him once, Your Honor.
Well, that is how any normal child acts around strangers, sir. I mean, both parents were in the same state still. The guy made no effort to connect with his potential child. But in Mr. Smith, mommy is a gold digger, only in for the money. Judge schools him for not being there for him.
What if she just wants to know who her child's father is after she admittedly made a lot of mistakes? Maybe she just wants to know for her child's sake and for her sake. Is that all right? Don't you want to know?
Yes, Your Honor.
2 years of mystery have brought Javian's mother here, as none of the men filled the paternity void, which left her no choice but to force the alleged for a test. Let's see if the result will end her search.
Mr. Smith, you are not Javian's father. So without a shadow of a doubt, knowing what we know now, potential father number 4 would have to be Javian's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't know his name.
No, Your Honor.
Wifey here refuses to add another woman child to her family because she thinks so. Miss McLean is using the one night of passion to pin someone else's baby on them.
You say your daughter is the product of a night of passion gone wrong, and you are certain Mr. Strong is the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, this paternity dispute is the result of a consensual threesome. Yeah, it was a proper mix for the confusion. The shocking part was that it was the idea of Mrs. Strong. She convinced her reluctant husband to take such a swing.
We had a threesome, had a good time that night. We discussed everything beforehand of what, possibilities could be.
What possibilities?
If she did get pregnant, of which we were under the understanding there was a medical reason she couldn't.
Okay, that was a little hard to comprehend. They had everything planned, so they were very thorough, and it was revealed that they did it more than once, and even continued after the birth.
2.5 to 3 weeks after we had our very first threesome, I found out I was pregnant.
And you said you had 8 of them.
Correct.
So you were still having threesomes with them through your pregnancy?
And after.
Well, it makes sense that she was claiming that Mr. Strong was the father. The only down part was that Miss McLean was dating someone else at the time and ruled him as the father at first.
So did you assume it was his child?
We were, I don't know how to explain it, we were a very passionate couple, I guess.
But 1 or 2 times before you found out you were pregnant?
Right.
Gotcha.
Further, it was revealed that the other guy was an African man, but the baby looked nothing like him. Plus, he was already tested, and it was proven that he wasn't the father.
So, regardless of race, He's ruled out.
Yes.
Were you there at the hospital when the baby was born?
We didn't know the baby was born. We heard from a third party that she had her. We weren't even notified.
11 after that, the defendant contacted the Strongs, right out of the blue asking them to step for the baby, which they did regardless of the obvious doubts in their heart, while Miss McLean explained herself like this.
All reality, my daughter has a lot of Douglas's tendencies. Pulling on her ears when she's tired or she's frustrated, Douglas does that. His yabba dabba doo feet, the Flintstone feet that he has, my daughter has. His laugh, my daughter has that laugh.
It was the defendant waiting for a while that instigated the dispute because the couple was stepping up either way. They loved the baby and took her in as theirs.
If this is positive, and they already call her their sister.
You opened this case because you said you don't believe.
There's a 50-50 chance because I see a lot of features that could be mine. I mean, I'm just trying to be certain because I grew up without a father.
Regardless of their dynamic, all of them were concerned about the child. The Strong family wanted to be done with every ounce of doubt, as they couldn't shake off the medical accident or other potential daddy part.
You as well, Miss Strong.
Absolutely.
And it's because you knew openly that you were going into this threesome situation, and you all obviously weren't being responsible and using any type of extra birth control.
All of this sounds very big to them, right? Well, they wouldn't be in a situation if they hadn't gone for the three-way. So the judge asked Mrs. Strongs what made her go for such wild ventures, and the reply was this.
I'd rather him do it with me than behind my back.
What'd you say?
I'd rather him do it with me than behind my back.
Oh!
Okay. Before they made me look bad, most of the threesomes were her idea.
They were.
That's what I felt like.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get look like a jerk or something. Like.
So the wifey had all the things played out to control her husband. In her mind, every man wants to cheat, but she would rather let him do it in front of her. Wow, quite manipulative, don't you think?
Oh, if it's determined that Angel is your husband's biological child, what happens in your relationship? Does the dynamic get weird? What happens?
No, I have absolutely no issue.
That's a lot of forward thinking, which was good for the baby girl. I'm not sure how this trio is going to manage. So before going to the envelope, the judge asked the baby mama if they should look out for paternity surprises. Miss McLean negated. Let's see what happens then.
Mr. Strong, you are not the father. I'm sorry to have to deliver that news, Mr. and Miss Strong. It seemed like you were very happy at the thought of having Angel as your little girl.